Hey everybody, Michael Horne from Kidwells Solicitors, Kidwells Group, and Abby Washbourne, also from Kidwells.
Yeah.
Trainee solicitor.
Yeah.
Very nearly almost qualified.
Very nearly.
Worked with me for 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Oh, medals? Do you want medals?
Oh yeah, well I need a few, I think.
It's
yeah.
intense, isn't it?
It's intense, yeah.
So we work in crime and family together,
Yeah,
but
we
today
do.
we're talking about crime,
Yeah.
so criminal law. And we have, after our last live stream, some people have asked us to set out the difference between a voluntary interview and an arrest
Yeah.
by the police.
Yeah, because they're
So-
quite different really, aren't they? I don't think people realise until you've been through it how different they are.
Yeah.
And usually people have experienced either one or the other, so they don't know the difference between the two because they think the one they experience is the normal one.
Or they've experienced nothing at all.
Yeah.
So it's brand new
exactly.
to them.
Yeah.
So a police officer contacts you out the blue and says, dear Mr. Mrs., we're going to interview you. We'd like to do that on a voluntary basis. Contact us on this number. But if you don't contact them, what happens?
You'll be arrested. It's as simple as that. It's your opportunity the officer's given to you to attend voluntarily.
Yeah.
It's in everybody's interest in most cases for that to happen because for the police officer it uses a lot of resources having to get a warrant for arrest and then to issue officers to actually arrest you at your home.
Yeah.
So if you can attend on your own merit basically, then
Yeah.
that's better for them, better for you too, but we'll go into that a little bit more I think.
Well, I agree with that because we work together.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely right as far as I'm concerned. But before people can understand the benefit of a voluntary interview,
Yeah.
let's talk about what an arrest means. So can you talk me through that?
It means at 3 a.m. sometimes you'll be pulled out of your bed completely unexpected. Perhaps your children are at home, your wife may be at home, doesn't know what's going on. You're pulled out of your bed at 3 a.m. and it's scary, it's frightening. You've got officers that are intruding into your space, your home. They arrest you, you're confused. You perhaps haven't had your tea, sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Waking up, only been in bed for an hour.
Yeah.
And then so what? Then they say, we're arresting you. They arrest you in the house. They transport you to the police station in their car.
Yeah.
But is everything that you're saying at home evidence against you?
Yeah, so you'll be cautioned and then everything thereafter is used in evidence against you and notes will be taken on these the comments you're making, and some people will say things because they're frightened and they won't remember later, but those things can be quite detrimental.
And those are recorded, so when the police come into your home and they wake you up or arrest you at work or wherever it is that they're coming for you, your very first comments are recorded.
Yeah.
So even though you've not been cautioned yet, those comments are recorded and they can go against you.
Yeah, they
So
definitely can.
that shock of an arrest, the first bit, that's quite bad.
Yeah, it is. And then you're bundled into a car and taken to the police station.
They don't always bundle you in there. They're
No.
gentle, aren't they?
They are gentle, yeah, but
we're
you
not
feel
talking
bundled.
About,
Yeah,
you just feel it's just not nice.
No,
is
it's
it?
not nice. It's horrible and it's frightening. And a lot of people haven't been through it before and it'll be their first time. And regardless whether it's your first or your fifth time, it's awful.
Yeah.
And then you're taken to the police station. You're booked into custody and you're put into a cell.
Well, let's talk about what does booking into custody mean, because that sounds to somebody that doesn't know like go into the Hilton Hotel.
Yeah, booking yourself in.
Booking in. I'll have the room with a view, please.
Yeah.
It's not quite like that, is it?
No, there's not many rooms with a view there.
No, no. So booking into custody means that you go into what they call the custody suite,
Yeah.
where there's a big high counter,
Yeah.
and police officers sat behind it, usually a sergeant, and then you are searched.
Yeah, search, and your belt will be taken off you, your shoes are taken off you, anything you've got on you will be taken off you, so your phone will be taken off you, and that might then be seized, and you might not get that back until the conclusion of the investigation, which sometimes can be quite some time actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that, when you're put into a cell then, and it's frightening, you're put on a mattress which is not very comfortable.
No, well, it's not home, is it? It's not your bed, is it?
No.
So then at that stage, they will have read the rights to the person be detained, which includes then the opportunity to have free and independent legal advice.
Yeah, by way of a duty solicitor.
Yeah.
And at that point, you can elect a privately funded solicitor if you so wish.
Yeah.
But that's your opportunity at the first stage to have some free legal advice
Yeah.
or any legal advice really, which you
we,
should.
We tell everybody, don't we, don't speak to the police without a solicitor there.
They're not your friends, they're there to investigate you.
Yeah.
And some of these officers are very nice, they're nice people, some of these officers.
Mm.
But they are there to investigate you.
Yeah.
And if you get too comfortable with these people, sometimes you can say things which are quite detrimental to you. You
Yeah.
let things slip that
Yeah.
perhaps you wouldn't have if you'd have thought things through properly.
Not to lie about it or anything,
No.
but just things that really you should just keep to yourself until you've taken legal advice.
Yeah.
So when you get into the custody suite, you're booked in, you're told what your rights are, and the sergeant or whoever it is that's booking you in actually is doing a test to make sure that they are comfortable themselves that you're okay to be detained.
Yeah.
So even though you don't feel like it, but the police are actually looking after your interests at that stage.
Yeah.
But then you're put into a cell.
Yeah.
Quite rightly so. You said that's quite an uncomfortable scenario.
Well,
It's not
sometimes
home.
it can result in long waits because the police officers will be still conducting the investigation, taking statements, and sometimes it might involve, the officer being taken off to another job, which
Yeah.
means that then your interview's pushed back. So you could be sat in that cell for hours, not knowing what's going on, and it feels longer because you're sat in the cell frightened, and it's just not your home environment, and it's certainly not.
So then the police have telephoned a solicitor if it's the duty solicitor scheme.
Yeah.
They're independent of the police, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So even though they might be friendly with the police, they'd be polite with the police. Really, they're on opposite sides of the position.
Yeah.
The solicitor is there to look after you, the person that's been arrested, look after your interests. And on the whole, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
on the
they
whole,
are.
they're pretty good. So then, but you've got to wait to see one, and then you go into a conference room.
Yeah, you're going to a private conference room, and that'll be your opportunity to speak with your solicitor.
Yeah.
And it is an interview. We've discussed this previously, haven't we?
Yeah.
Where when you're actually speaking to your solicitor, you're interviewing them to
That's
see
right.
if they're right for you.
Yeah.
And we've said previously also that you're discussing so many confidential details about your personal life. You've got to be comfortable with them.
Yeah, that's right.
So it is hard because
Yeah.
some of these solicitors you would never have met before, especially if it's your first time at the police station or you've
But
never.
I think by the time you get under once you've called the duty solicitor, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
it's
where
the-
you get in. You
that's
don't
what
get
you
the
get in.
chance to do that interview process, do you?
No, you don't.
But I suspect we'll talk about the voluntary interview side in a minute, where we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
But when the solicitor comes into the interview room to see you, the police will already have told that solicitor basically what your arrest is about.
Yeah.
That's called advanced disclosure.
Yeah, so that's your opportunity, your solicitor's opportunity on your behalf to have a private conference with the officer,
Yeah.
and they'll discuss the details of the case, what you're accused of, who's been accused of what, where, when, get those details. Your
Yeah.
solicitor's got the opportunity to ask questions to that officer,
Yeah.
and it's not that necessarily all of the details of your case are disclosed, because
Yeah.
often they're not, but
No.
it gives an overview. And
So we've been in an interview together many times, haven't we, where the police officer in the advanced disclosure, which under PACE, Police and Criminal Evidence Act, they don't have to disclose everything.
no.
So people that think that the police have to disclose everything, that's wrong. And so when you're in the interview, they start asking questions and producing things that nobody knew anything about.
Yeah.
And so you need to be as careful in your interview with your client to get as much information as you can, more than the advanced disclosure that the police have given you.
And from that, actually, you can start to predict, okay, perhaps the police have these questions to ask, and
Yeah.
it gives you the opportunity to prepare how you're going to respond to them.
Yeah.
And if it's by way of a statement, what needs to be in that statement.
That's our preferred method, isn't it?
That's our preferred, yeah.
Yeah, we prefer to. But
100%.
we'll do another live stream on that, I think, about pre-prepared statements for interview, because they're very interesting and they're going to take some time to talk about. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
So then after the interview, which is recorded,
Yeah.
and the person who's been detained is cautioned.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what the caution is on a separate live stream, I think. But adverse inference is something that a lot of people get confused about, but we'll talk about that again later. So after the interview, The police will decide whether you're getting bail or you're going to be remanded into custody.
Yeah.
So the whole process to be arrested is awful.
Quite traumatic, actually, isn't it?
Tell us about a voluntary.
So a voluntary interview is usually when you'll be approached by the officer, whether it be a telephone, sometimes it's text message, sometimes it's email or letter, and they'll say, can you just pop down to the police station on this day, or they might actually give you a range of dates to choose from.
Yeah.
Just say, we need to interview you about this. And some people don't see it as serious because it says voluntary interview in big bold letters.
Yeah.
But actually, if you do not take the officer up on that chance, you will be arrested.
But also voluntary, there's for the interview itself and the evidence gathering, it's no different to being arrested.
It is no different.
It's an interview under caution.
Yeah.
And things that you say will be used against you in evidence. And that's recorded.
Yeah.
So just because it says voluntary and you're not arrested, don't take it lightly.
The only voluntary part of it is you're taking yourself to that police station on that day at that time.
Yeah.
But if you don't,
they're coming for you.
There'll be no element of voluntary.
That's right, they'll be coming for you. And this is the bit you were talking about earlier, isn't it, where you say, look, you get to interview your solicitor.
Yes.
And this is the time.
Yeah.
So when you get your notification, you're going to be, you're invited for a voluntary interview. You're going to be interviewed under caution. Don't wait.
No, don't wait.
If you already know a solicitor, somebody that you trust, great. Make an appointment. Go and see that person. Put that firm on notice that these are the dates and hand it over to the solicitor and let them take conduct of what happens at the police station.
Yeah.
But if you don't already know a solicitor, then you need to find one.
Yeah, you do.
You can still get a legal aid one.
You still can get a legal aid
You
one,
certainly can. Or you can choose to go private. And again, that's another live stream for another day. But what you say is quite right. And I know we've spoken about this many, many times. And you've heard me saying this to clients right when we first started working together all of those years ago, where we say to them, look, you've got to be comfortable with us. And that's the advice, isn't it?
Definitely.
Got to be comfortable with your solicitor.
That's key, I think. And you must trust them.
Yeah.
And you've got sometimes a time frame of a week sometimes for a voluntary interview, sometimes a few days, but it gives you that time to actually sit down with your solicitor in their office in a comfortable environment to go through the evidence if you know what you're being accused of already. Because sometimes if you have your solicitor instructed early, they'll be able to get advance disclosure from the officer prior to even the interview. So that'll give you really good time to sit down with your solicitor and actually talk about those issues in a nicer environment. And that does help massively.
Yeah. And of course, interviews are the opportunity to put your side over.
Yeah.
So it's your opportunity to say to the police, look, what you think isn't right.
Yeah.
And if you get that chance with the invitation for a voluntary interview, and you get that chance to speak about it with your solicitor, the solicitor will say, okay, well, if you've got these emails or these text messages or this photograph or whatever evidence that it might be, give it to me now. Let's make sure that the police have that at the earliest opportunity, and it will just make the whole investigation process go so much more smoothly.
Definitely.
So we've got to end this live stream. They all come to an end. I could just talk.
I know.
We both love criminal law, so we could just talk about it all day, and we do about our clients all day.
We do.
But the message from you would be, if you get a choice between a voluntary interview or an arrest, what would it be?
100% voluntary interview. And I think the real message about all of these live streams is preparation is key.
Yeah.
Instruct a solicitor at the first opportunity.
Yeah.
Find somebody you're comfortable and somebody you trust.
Yeah.
And start preparing early on. And that can be the real difference in the whole case.
And that is sound advice. So that's it. We're done with this live stream, and we'll be here for some more. So if you've got any questions, let us know and we will raise them.